All right, welcome back, guys. We are going to keep moving forward with the leverage trading ideas here to show you how I normally do it. For those that have never leverage traded before, just understand it's extremely risky. You can make some good money, but also your account can bleed down really quickly as well if you're not making good decisions. So one thing to understand about the market is it moves much more slowly than you anticipate. Sometimes I'll make calls like March 2024 at the very end of the month ended up being a top, but at the beginning of the month I was saying to watch out because I think the top is coming, and it turned out I was 3 weeks early. And I tend to do that just because I get ahead of myself. But sometimes you can see it in the charts, and as you get more experience you'll be able to do that yourself. But um, once you have a couple good ideas that play out, you may start to get cocky about it, an ego about it, even if you don't present that to the outside world. Maybe it's just internal, but you start getting ahead of yourself, and you start getting too confident. And I would just say, slow down, take some time to really understand where the rejection areas are, where the support levels are, by drawing your support resistance levels like we talked about the last video. But in this one, what we're going to look at is what the difference is between margin and futures, which I'll be honest with you, I don't know the complete difference, but I can tell you what you're looking for when you go onto any platform is you want to find the tokens that have the word perpetual in them. I don't know if any of these other ones, yeah, they all say perpetual here. So, this is what you're looking for. I don't know what so let's see, okay, so this one's USDT based, this one's USDC, this one is an inverse perpetual, I think, based on maybe you're using your own token as leverage or somebody else's tokens for leverage. So just understand that whenever, what I would do is use either this USDT or USDC, use a stable coin because it's not as confusing. So when I click onto, like here I am on XLM, when I click onto it and I go and see the order book here, which I don't really pay attention to this at all. Yeah, you can look at it and say, okay, there's a lot more people buying than selling right now, but this can fool you because the market makers know exactly where people's stop losses are and everything. So don't worry about that. The most important areas to pay attention to are the cross or the isolated options, and then how much leverage you can do. So cross is the safest way to trade, but you have to be careful because what you're doing is you're risking your entire portfolio. So let's say I have $730 here. I'm in a cross trade for like a 50x or something, which is extremely risky. I'd have to be pretty sure that the token was either going up or down, whichever way, that I had planned to take the trade, long or short. So if I choose cross and I get liquidated, then that means they take all of my money out of the account. Like all the money is wiped out. However, if I use isolated, that means that if the trade goes against me, then I only lose, whatever I put into it. Let's say I put $50. I would only lose that $50 if I got liquidated. But just understand that if you do isolated, your stop loss is really, really tight. Like if, like say XLM was like 33 cents and it went up to like 33.1 cents or something, you might be liquidated that quickly. So it's probably best to do cross, but if you want to start out with isolated just to stay safe, you can really bleed your account quickly with isolated is the only problem, because you keep throwing 50 and 50 and 50 and you're just gambling. You really need to understand the chart and your areas of resistance, where it could resist at, if there's momentum in the charts, that sort of thing. So once you do that, let's say, well, number one, I would recommend not being on market. I would choose limit. We talked about that last video. But what you would do is, if you're doing cross, if you're starting out, probably just start with 2 or 3x just to get used to it. But if you get more experience, you can jump up to like 10x, 20x, maybe even 30x. 50x is really, there'd have to be a lot of volatility in the token. Usually shorting the market is when you use something like 50x. But just be careful with it. But let's just say for this example, I'm using 25x and I'm here on XLM. Let me see here. So let's just say we're using like $50 just to be safe here. So 54.31, you can see it right there. And let's say I want to long in this area right here, but I want to put a stop loss. So I'm gonna put a stop loss way down here at 32624. 32624. I put that in the stop loss area, and then take profit. Maybe I want to take profit up here at 33424. Oops, that didn't work. 33424, and then I'm gonna hit last. When I hit last, it's gonna give me the most recent price, and I'm gonna hit that, and I'm gonna hit long, and it filled me immediately. So if this thing turns around on me, which I need to check and see. Let's see, I'm on 25x cross. Yeah, so since I'm on cross, it will accept my, as long as my liquidation price, where's it at? Okay, so it's basically saying, oh, there it is right there, liquidation price. I don't know why it took so long to pop up, but my liquidation is 10 cents. It's probably not going to hit that, of course. I mean, we're way up here at 30 cents, but, that's what it would look like. It would tell you your liquidation price, whether you were using isolated or cross. But if this hit 10 cents, then it would wipe out my entire account. I'd lose all this money that was sitting here. Yeah, so isolated would be much more tight. It'd probably be like right here or something. So if it dropped below that price, I'd lose the $50 or whatever I put in. That's the difference between cross versus isolated. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so it's showing my entry price here. It's showing how many quantity of XLM I have, what my leverage is. Mark price tells you what the current price is. Here's your margin ratio. As it climbs, that means the trade's probably going against you. But this is basically saying that I'm using 1% of my margin, which is healthy. I mean, you want to keep it around 1 to 5% if you can. Anything more is getting into the risk area. And then if I ever want to close the trade immediately, I would hit market and hit confirm. Or maybe I want to close just 50% of the trade, and then I would hit confirm. Or if I wanted to limit close it, if I had a certain target that I was looking for, like maybe it was right up here at 33,255, put in 33,255, and maybe I want to close 50%, I'd hit confirm. It'll tell you what your estimated P&L would be in that case, or maybe you want to close all of it. What else do I want to show you here? I mean, yeah, you can use market if the market's really volatile and you can tell that price is definitely coming down and it's not gonna, spike up and take out your stop, then it's okay to use market in that case, because it's going to give you the best price immediately, and it's going to immediately fill for you. But yeah, I would just be careful with that, because you really want to get more experience first before you start doing things like that, because it can cost you a lot of money. I won't really get into stop limit or stop market. I mean, you would really use these if there was a specific target, like maybe you were waiting on something to break down even below this thing, and you would tell it, okay, when it hits this price, I want you to fill my order because I'm expecting it to go down further. But I never use that, so I'm not going to worry about that. So that's pretty much it. I mean, that kind of tells you. I mean, there's things like funding where, if there's many more shorts than longs, then that means that the shorts would pay 0.0079% each day of their position to, I think it's of their position anyway, to the longs. So, that's something you can look into. It's basically saying, hang on, payment rate exchange between the long and short positions for the next funding. If the funding rate is positive, longs pay short. If negative, shorts pay long. So I guess it's positive right now. Yeah. So there's more longs than shorts, basically. What else did I want to show you? I'll probably close this position here in a minute. I didn't really look at the chart before I did this. In fact, things were turning down at the time, so it was it wasn't a good trade to take. I just wasn't really paying attention to what it was doing. In fact, probably just go ahead and close it because it doesn't matter. Okay, so I did a limit close and it filled me right away, but you could have done a market as well. Just understand when you do a market trade, you're usually not going to get a good deal. That's why limit's much better, because you're saying, okay, this is the price I wanted at. If I don't get it at that price, then I'm just not going to take that trade. But if it comes back up, if the price comes back up and hits that, then it would go ahead and fill in your order for you. And this thing could be bouncing here. This is an area that could be some support. But here's another cool thing. So we're on a 5-minute chart here. This particular exchange that I use called BidFi, if you look at these numbers right here, the MA7, MA25, MA99. So it's using the 7-day moving average, 25-day moving average, and 99-day moving average to kind of give you an idea of, is price bearish? Is it bullish? If you get these two lines, the faster lines, the 7 and the 25, if they cross below the slower line, the 99, then that's usually bearish. And you can see, it respected that all the way down, and then it got back above it. So there's a chance this thing could push up a little bit more and then reject up here somewhere. So that's why I've got a limit sell right around 0.338. I don't know for a fact that it will hit that. It could be a little bit lower even, but that's what I'm seeing that it could hit for a short. So I've got my limit sell set right there. And the way that I set that, of course, is I hit limit. I went here and I put 33, what is that number? 874. And then I put my stop loss, which I think I put it way up here, like 34,368, something like that. Just make sure you're checking the number here, because some of them have multiple zeros before the number. But yeah, just make sure you put in the right number first. You can always add the take profit area later. You don't have to do it when you do this. So I would, put how much USDT I wanted to apply there, and then I would hit short, and that's what would create that line. One thing I didn't mention is to actually get money into your leverage trading account within your exchange. As you go down here to transfer, I don't know where it would be on your exchange, but you would hit transfer, and then you would transfer from spot to wherever you're, whatever you're using, whether it's, here I'm using USD. Let's see, I don't use this exchange often. I'm trying to see. Oh, here we go. So you've got, well, anyway, for this one, it's USD. I guess that covers both USDT and USDC. I'm not sure, but you'll figure that out. It's not that hard. And if you want to transfer money out of your leverage account, you would just flip it. So now you're sending from your wallet for leverage to spot. So just remember, spot is the money that you sent to the exchange originally. I wonder if there's anything else I can show you here. I don't think there is. Another thing to take note of is if you have any current orders, then it's going to show you have less balance up here, but you really don't. What it is it's not taken into account any orders you have open that are ready to hit. So I actually have 933 in this account. Okay, what else did I want to show you? I think that's about it. Well, other than this, I mean, the way that you can use these lines is, when sideways price action's happening, you're not going to get a clear signal. So just get used to that not happening. But once things break clearly above this slow line, usually it's going to hold above it for a while. And you could have taken this trade, and then as soon as things started breaking down here, you could have just gotten out. That's your buy signal. When these two lines, the MA7 and MA25, cross above the MA99 on this 5-minute chart, then you would take a buy, or you would execute a buy. And then as soon as it started crossing down here, you'd sell. Now, it did come up a little bit more, but if you're just scalping, that's what we call this, scalping. You're just taking really short-term trades. That's the way you would play it. Now, if you were up on like a 4-hour chart, then it still does the same thing, but it's on a longer time scale. So down here you would have bought, here you would have sold, you would have bought again, you would have sold up here, and then it just kept rejecting that long-term line, that MA99, and then it broke above here. You could have taken this buy, And then as soon as it started crossing down here, when I'm talking about crossing down, kind of hard to see. I'm talking about these two lines, these faster lines, the 7 and the 25. They crossed right, well, let's see. Yeah, both of them together, if you count them both together, they both crossed right there. So this one doesn't have a bunch of tools to use, but sometimes on exchanges, there's little tools over here that you could have taken this and said, okay, I bought it 24 cents. I sold at 43. Maybe I had 2 or 3x leverage. Maybe I had 10x. What is that? I mean, it's almost a 2x move. But, and you can ask ChatGPT stuff like this if you want, but you can say something like, if I bought XLM at 23 cents and sold at 43 cents with $100 at what, 30x leverage, how much profit did I make? So it'll do the calculation for you, but I just wanted to show you what that looks like. You're only putting in $100, and now it's doing the math for you. It looks like what happens is it subtracts the ending price minus your starting price and divides it by your starting price, and then it gets this number 86.96, which is almost 90%. So your spot gain's 90%. However, you have to multiply that by 30. So here it is, 86.96 times 30, almost 90%. Is 26x basically, 2,600%. So your profit would have been off of just $100, 2,600. So you can see why people enjoy the thought of leverage trading, but a lot of people, lose at it because it's just like spot trading. They're not willing to be patient. So if you're willing to be patient, you can actually make pretty good money, but you have to wait on the setup, right? So this was a good setup right here, but you had to be very patient because look, this took from, well, we'll just start here at the top on May 23rd until the cross at July 6th. So, you have to wait for these moves, but it's still really good money, right? If you're patient, you can make good money. You could have taken this short too, as long as it stayed below the trend line here, then you stayed in your short. You might have gotten out temporarily here, but you could have gotten right back in. And then you close your short here by buying back and made some profit on the down. So you can make profit up and down. You just have to use a system that makes sense to you, whether it's moving averages or maybe you have engineering robo, which the same thing. If we go back and we look at I'll look at it on this one. So if we go back and we look at, well, it's roughly the 3-hour chart is what I'll call it. Here's your engineering robo on that same move. So, as this thing came down, yeah, you got a lot of different, choppy signals, but the thing, if I take this off on the signals, the thing that remained was the cloud. The cloud was mostly red. It had that same little fake out right here at the top. Actually, I need to take that HODL line off as well. The HODL line helps you to stay in the trade as well. See how it stayed above that orange line the whole way. But here you've got, that same move. You could have taken this short. It stayed red, and now you got a green cloud here on engineering robo. So this one kept you in the trade this whole way, and you could have easily made a really good gain off that using this as well. In fact, engineering robo gave you an AI take profit signal. What was that? It gave it to you about right there at 44 cents. It got you in down here. It's roughly 90%. Yeah, I mean, that's really close to using the moving averages. 90%. It got you out over here. Yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, it was really, really close. Okay. So, moving averages work pretty good too, as long as the move is ready, right? I mean, you have to wait for a big move like that. And, you have to live through that sideways action. It just takes a while. And here we have, just very briefly, for those of you that don't know, Engineering Robo AI Creator does have a VIP channel, and some of our members have been making pretty good money shorting these high volatility coins. Like here's one called the TA. And so the way that you would play this, just very basically, is you wait until you get certain conditions met on the 5-minute chart. And some of those conditions are, an AI take profit signal, a sell signal, red cloud, which the cloud has not been red yet. You could have just kept buying this at the bottom of the green cloud and making money on the way up first. And that's, by the way, that's why I have things the way that they are in the Discord for that volume. If you're interested in leverage trading, this volume channel right here would really help you. This one right here, volume alerts and listings. So you got the ape went up 152% in the last 24 hours. So when you see something like that, you know it has a lot of volatility, and you need to see that to know to take a good short, an easy short, but you have to wait on the right conditions. And so I've got the conditions pinned to the DGen chat, I think. Yeah, there it is right there. Oh, actually, Rab helped us out there. I just pinned it. But you need to see sell, take profit, cloud red, AI social sell to score red. You need 5 of 10 of these. And the 5-minute candle close below the hodl line, which the volatility is always confirmed. 100% in the last 24 hours, you need to see at least that. So you usually, if you're doing it right, you usually at least got one thing confirmed already. Price below resistance, 15-minute trend bearish. So we don't have those things yet. I'm just going to go through them briefly here. You can also use a, wow, just went blank, a money flow indicator. So this one's a paid one called Market Cipher, but I just told you about one recently called Fu Manchu Cipher B plus divergences. And it looks exactly the same. It's just the thickness of the money flow is not as big. But when this thing turns red, then you should also see engineering robo start to turn red. And you can see this, the green, like I said, the green cloud remain there the whole time. But you can also see back here, when this was turning red, so was Market Cipher, so was Fu Manchu. When this was deep in the red, so was Market Cipher, so was Fu Manchu. So they almost mirror one another, if you want to use that. But currently what we're looking for on this, just so you know, and you really don't even need this. Let's just close it for now. But what you're looking for is, I would have to see this thing fall below. Let me turn on one thing here real quick. You need the dashboard on as well. Just waiting on it to pop up here. And what you'll see, by the way, see how the cloud is pretty wide here. It'll start to tighten up like this. This will start to roll over, and then this bottom one will start, kind of squeezing. And usually that's when you see the cloud starting to go red. So, if you're patient with something like this and you just go off of what the signals are telling you, and you have 5 of 10 confirmations, which I think, I'm just going to see if I can copy this. Copy that. Okay, copy image. We'll just put it right here. Maybe. There we go. Okay. So we are looking for an AI sell, which we don't have just yet. I think I actually turned, no, they're still on. Okay. So AI sell, AI take profit, cloud turning red, AI social intelligence score is still green. It needs to be red. This is 5-minute chart, by the way. Stay on the 5-minute chart. These are the settings that you need on at all times for this method. So here's these settings, and then you need the orange support and resistance lines. And so at this point, you're just looking for this. Let's say at this point, from here, it does something like this, comes back up, creates another shoulder, and then it starts to fall. When this happens, you would be below the hodl line. So that is right here. 5-minute candle close below the hodl line. So you actually have to wait until the 5-minute candle closes. So you have to be patient with this. You may have already gotten an AI sell, AI take profit, but it's important to wait for that 5-minute candle to close first. So each one of these bars is a 5-minute candle. So maybe we come down here, create that shoulder and start to fall. 5-minute candle closes below, clouds turning red or getting close to it. You've got an AI sell, AI take profit. This is turned red down here, the social intelligence score. Yeah, so at this point, maybe the 15-minute trend is bearish as well, which would be right here. Right now it's bullish. Smart money is balanced. That's already happened right there. So you got a couple things here in your favor already. You just need like 3 more and you're ready to go. So right now, volatility is confirmed. It's 152% volatility over the last 24 hours. Smart money is balanced. And now you're just waiting for the rest of the things to show up. So the next 2 things that'll probably show up are AI sell, AI take profit. And when those happen, they look like this. But since you did close temporarily below the hodl line back here. Here, hang on, let's see. I'm just curious about this. Let's just see what would have happened back here when this happened. I'm going to do the replay here. Okay, when we get the 2 signals, the 2 first signals, we're going to look at it. Okay, so we've got 2 signals. We don't have a 5-minute candle below the hodl line yet. We got a red, we got balance. 15 minutes, not bearish. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we only have 4 so far. Let's step forward one more time. Okay, I got to keep going because I think we only had 4 out of 5 there. Okay, there's 2 more. Let's keep going. So what did we have here? We had 1, 2, 3, 4. We actually had 5 there, but it turned against us. So sometimes it's going to happen, and it's not perfect, but a lot of times it does work. But it got right back above the hodl line, so you had to just get right back out of it. And it's kind of pushing back above this resistance here, so that's one of the stipulations. It has to be below this resistance that it created for itself. And it's staying mostly above the hodl line here. Okay, what is this showing us here? See, this looks like it's starting to roll over. I would have definitely started thinking about taking a position here. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we got 5 there. What we have there, yeah, cloud turn red. Okay, the cloud's not red yet. The cloud really helps, makes you feel a lot better about it. But yeah, you got a little bit of a fake out there. It was just going sideways. This really is what it looks like when things are starting to roll over, but it just kept going. I'm just going to close that because we know it kept going after that. But anyway, that's what you're looking for. I think the next time that happens right there, that's when it's going to be time to take the short. But currently it's still in the buy. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If you are interested in this, I think there is a link in the description below for the Engineering Robo AI 7-day free trial. Make sure you select the Engineering Robo AI trial. And then on the Engineering Robo website, you can message them. There's a little message button if you want to also be in the VIP group that has the signals. Actually, now that I think about it, I mean, unless you want his signals, which, he gives some pretty good signals himself sometimes, but you really don't need it now that I'm thinking about it, because I've got those signals right here for you. So if you just want Engineering Robo, then, just do that. That's fine. And we have a couple people that use this system. So, this specific volatility and volume system. So, if you have any questions in the group, you can ask anybody pretty much, or, a couple of us that do it anyway. Okay, I think that's about it. As far as the market goes, things are are looking fine. I think we're somewhere here on XLM once it comes down here to 10 cents. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Once it comes down to 30 cents is what I'm looking for. Let me turn this off. So excuse the lines, don't really pay attention to those, but basically on this chart over here from 2017, we're somewhere in here, and I'm expecting it to come down to here around 30 cents, and then we're going to start moving up, and then it may dip one more time and then pump. That's why I think we got about a week or two left, probably more like 2 weeks before the real pump happens, because we still have to chop just a little bit, but I still feel good about it. We don't have a bunch of euphoria. We don't have a big blow off top. And that's usually how cycles end. So I think we've still got that big Bitcoin dominance dip to happen and alts to move. All right. Well, y'all have a good week. I'll try to do some more of these. Let me know if there's anything I didn't cover that you want me to cover. And yeah, later.